trying to ash out common sense. This is burn love, burn love, burning through conversations, trying to ash out common sense. This is burn love, burning through conversations, trying to ash out common sense. This is burn love.
Welcome to another political Burn Live channel where we break down the news of the president of what's going on around the world. I am your host, Anchor Capiche in the building. Yeah, I don't think I can keep that up too much longer. Welcome to another Burn Live story, man. Welcome, y'all. Check it in, come on in, hit that like button, subscribe. Y'all know what we do's over here. It's Friday. Get into this political news and breakdowns. U.S. troops is at war with Iran. Gas prices are going up. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Everybody wants to know how we're going to do what we do when we did what we does because we do it. So Fridays is my political day. We're going to break it down, find out what's going on, get into the breaking news in sorts. Ladies and gentlemen, everything is everything until everything is not everything. Everything is everything. So without a further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this news and find out what we need to know.
In Iran, full stop. Listen to this.
We can have dialogue. I don't want to do a ceasefire. You know, you don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side.
So that is after we reported just 24 hours ago that thousands more U.S. Marines are heading to the region. You see the USS Boxer there deploying from San Diego, both sides hammering each other on the Persian New Year. Take a look at this moment that an Iranian missile fragment exploded in Jerusalem's Old City. Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, issuing a written statement to mark the holiday, praising the resolve of Iran's citizens and emphasizing, quote, good relations with neighboring countries. But Iran continues to strike those neighbors. The regime is again targeting oil and gas facilities across the Gulf, like this one in Kuwait. American warplanes firing on the Strait of Hormuz to try and reopen the flow of oil in the crucial waterway. And the president lashing out at allies for not getting involved, calling NATO a, quote, paper tiger without the U.S. and saying the fight in Iran is, quote, militarily won. We have got team coverage on this thing. We got Keir Simmons, who's in the region for us, reporting from Riyadh. But first, I want to go to Courtney Kube, who is talking to us about where the military stands on all these things. Courtney, let's get into it, because we know right now when it comes to deployments, right, troops heading towards the region, we know that is happening. But what are the president plans when it comes to the deployment of those actual troops on the ground?
Yeah, so what we know is that these additional Marines are going, they were supposed to deploy anyway, but now they're being sent to the Middle East, and their deployment time is being accelerated, according to officials who are familiar with the planning. Yasmin, why this is so critical is because this is a Marine Expeditionary Unit. Now, they are about 2,200 to 2,500 Marines, but about 800 to 1,000 of them are infantry, and they are very highly trained, specially trained for things like amphibious landings. So they have you can see actually that's the USS Boxer on screen right there. That's where they will be deploying on. It's the 11th MEU, the USS Boxer. is the amphibious ready group that they're heading out from San Diego. So, but they have this special capability for amphibious landings, and why that's so important is because some of the potential places where U.S. troops could land include islands. We've been talking a lot about Karg Island, includes securing some of the ports. We've been talking about that because some of the most critical threats to shipping in there could be mitigated by a U.S. troop presence in some of those places. So the threat.
Notice how we're putting down troops on the ground that's more focused on a task than just killing off enemies. We're getting to selective movements, critical movements. I just want y'all to really kind of like focus on that and see what she's talking about. Understand on this channel, on the Burn Line channel, is always about the narrative and over succeeding the propaganda, thanks to Kick-Ass Nick exploiting that to the show, that we must, pay attention to the propaganda, making sure that we're not fooled by the propaganda from whatever source that we're getting it from, to see what is the bigger business of the movement.
Include things like anti-ship missiles. We've already seen them employing those. Mines, drones, and then of course there's the Mosquito fleet. We don't talk a whole lot about that, but these are these small, fast boats. Some of them are unmanned and they're just packed with explosives, and they present a real threat to commercial shipping because they can send a swarm of them out to surround a tanker or a big ship as it gets into that.
Realizing that it's only 30% of the oil that we are getting. Understand that it's only 30% of oil. It's still a little percentage. I think it was only like 13%, but I'm just say 30%. You still got to understand that we need to help. Other people not helping. I heard out of the president's mouth, I had a witness that Trump don't need no other help. So if anybody in this comment section hit me with that, he's begging for help ideology, I'm going to laugh at you.
That critical point of the choke point, surrounding it and attacking it if they desire to do so. Yes, it's a real threat to any kind of shipping in that region.
I want to talk about the potential of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. I want to play for you first, though, what the president had to say about that just in the last hour or so.
NATO could help us, but they so far haven't had the courage to do so. And others could help us, but, we don't use it. At a certain point, it'll open itself.
What's he getting at there?
Okay, so here's what we can report about what the president is weighing. There are a number of different options for U.S. troops on the ground, and there's one that is specific to the Strait of Hormuz. There's this set of islands in the Persian Gulf. It's right before you get to where the Strait of Hormuz, you can see there on the screen here. So right before you get to the Strait of Hormuz, there's a set of small islands. One is known as Abu Musa. The others are the Greater and Lesser Toom Islands. Now, you may not think, why would those be so potentially strategic? The depth of the Gulf around those islands makes it so that some of the larger ships have to go through them before they can get into the Strait of Hormuz. Well, Iran has placed spotters and a tremendous amount of military equipment on those islands. If the U.S. were to take those islands, they would cut off their ability for those spotters to then alert the Mosquito fleet that we were just talking about, to then come and swarm those ships. They would also could take out the military capability on those islands. So they are very strategic. But you can also see at the time.
The reason why other people are not getting involved, because you don't want no mishaps. You don't want them. Those are what they call casualties, and you don't want casualties. You want to be very cautious of what you do and stuff like that. So it makes sense to me. It makes sense. I get it. but you want to strategically take out whatever it is that's causing those guys. You really want to be in this world where you're able to do that. You want to be in a position to do that. That's why you're going to go get special militarized people who are trained, overly trained for positions like that, and go about and do what you got to do.
Top of the screen, that's top of that map, there's a couple of ports, including one known as Bandar Abbas. That's where some of these small boats come from. If the U.S. were to take those islands and to secure some of those ports, they could cut down on one of the most serious threats that exist to the Strait of Hormuz. That's one way that the U.S. could employ troops on the ground in Iran to really be able to open up that Strait of Hormuz.
Court, I know this is just breaking news. A lot of reporting that you, along with the rest of your team, have been doing about the potential of ground troops inside of Iran and what the president is weighing. And you laid out one possible scenario in which the president could feasibly activate. What else are we talking about here? And are we looking at any potential scenarios of what we saw a deployment, for instance, in Iraq and Afghanistan? Or is this more of a small deployment?
So the officials who we spoke with said that the options that are under serious consideration are much more tailored than the large 100,000 plus that we saw for Iraq and Afghanistan. That in fact we are still talking about potentially thousands of troops. So in addition to the options under consideration for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, there's one for the U.S. securing the oil, Iran's oil, Karg Island, which we've been talking a lot about. The U.S. could send potentially hundreds of troops to Karg Island to take it, to secure it, and then ultimately use it as leverage. And then, of course, there's always the most dangerous and the biggest option of all, sending troops in to secure and retrieve the highly enriched uranium that's buried deep underground.
Telling you, showing you reasons of why our president is doing what he's doing. Okay. I want to go over to this other report real quick.
To the east now and penetrating deeper into Iranian airspace to hunt and kill one-way attack garrisons. The A-10 Warthog is now in the fight across the southern flank and is hunting and killing fast attack watercraft in the Straits of Hormuz. In addition, AH-64 Apaches have joined the fight on the southern flank, and they continue to work on the southern side. And that includes some of our allies who are using Apaches to handle one-way attack drones.
All right, what General King is talking about there are the weapons of war, and they've been initiated in this fight. The A-10 Warthog. They've been trying to retire this plane for 20 years, and she keeps coming back because she flies slow, but she can take it and she can maneuver into different areas, all right? Deployed for 50 years. It's the only U.S. aircraft designed solely for close air support during the Iraq War and during Afghanistan. That was a tank hunter during that Iraq War. This the Apache helicopter can fly up to 170 miles an hour. What that might tell a military observer is that if you're flying helicopters in the Warthog going after missile sites and gunboats on behalf of the Iranians, you feel pretty good about your air cover, and you feel pretty good about not taking a lot of fire from the ground. And with that, let's go on over here to the map and show you the area of concern.
Do y'all even? I remember coverage of armies and stuff back in days where they show clip, but now with today and they're getting with these drones, they're really showing you straight strategic attacks. And I know we always want our president to tell us what to do. I know it'd be nice, but I still need y'all to realize that the president cannot tell us everything that he is doing, for as that might be letting our enemies know. And you don't want the enemies to know what we are doing.
It has been topic one all week, right? The Strait of Hormuz at its widest point, it's only 24 miles wide, right? This is the choke point. You've been following the news. You know, maybe get one or two big tankers through there a day. They used to get 100 a day on average, so that is a major point of concern. We showed you this map yesterday. I want to point your focus here again to the southern coastline of Iran. It continues to take a lot of hits. That's the focus right now on behalf of the Americans and the Israelis. What else do we have here? There's a lot on this map, okay? These are the targets of energy on behalf of Israel, Saudi Arabia. Look at this. There's a missile aimed at Haifa yesterday. There was an Iranian drone that went after a refinery in Saudi Arabia. You know what's going on in Kuwait, Qatar, the industrial city there, and also these gas facilities in the UAE. That's just the ones that were able to fit on the map. So you got 7 nations right now that signed that document yesterday. They appear to have a partial commitment on behalf of the U.S. and Israel. We'll see where that relationship goes. Retired Vice Admiral Mark Fox, former Deputy Commander of CENTCOM, is with me now. And, sir, great to have you on. Thank you for your time. What would you say, what does it take to solve this military issue now, sir?
Well, you know, our special operators came up with
That's going to be a good question.
an alliteration of find, fix, finish. Find the target, fix it, and then finish it. So the first part of that equation is you need to have what I would refer to as a godlike awareness of what's going on. You got to have an absolute 24/7, 365 absolute awareness of where things are and what's moving. That's the
Now, the argument is that the fact that them doing this and that Iran has their bunkers so deep in ground that these attacks is not really getting to the core attack of who we're trying to get to. That's what they're telling us. And if that's true, then, you know, is it a waste of time? Only time can tell. I'm being optimistic when I say that. And I'm only going off my resources because I'm young and new to the war too. This is the first, I guess, official big one that I've been in that, you know, I guess affects me, you know what I'm saying, all the way around, where I'm seeing effects, knowing effects into the politics and everything like that. So will the president office a secret and behind business say to himself every day? Your president doesn't care about us, then who does he care about? Who does the president work for? It amazes me that people say he doesn't care about us, but he campaigned on American First. His thing was about, his big, beautiful bill is about America First. Him bringing jobs back to America. His getting rid of illegals out of America. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Freeing other countries from terrorists that's taken over. These are all other things that he did in the name for country, for our country, our hemisphere, to be a better hemisphere. I don't get it. When you look at the so-called economy, well, let me say it like this for me personally. Let me get a little personal. And I tell people don't get personal. But me personally, I was doing pretty damn bad. Uh-oh. Caller, are you there? You can take yourself off mute. Caller, are you there? Hello? Yeah, I got a call in the background. Hopefully we can fix whatever it is they're going through at the moment. But yet again, I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, me personally, I was struggling for 4 years during the Biden administration. Um, I see you. And I'm not gonna lie, since Trump been in office, and I personally understood that it was gonna take an extra year for everything to even out and smoothing out. It did get better for me. Like, I'm chilling. I'm personally chilling. You know what I'm saying? Could I be in a better predicament? Yeah, I could. I could be in a better place. But right now, I'm chilling. I'm gravy. You know, I'm happy. And I normally don't say happiness, but I'm happy. So for me to say I'm happy, come on now. For me to say it, it's gotta be something. But getting back to the war part of this, and for me going back to what the lady said, where she's like, she feels like the president is not here for us. If there was ever, because there probably have been presidents that had cruel intentions. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Opposition, different sides, whatever. I don't believe this president right here at the moment is having different all right, I'll see you. I'll be right back.
Defined. The fix is you want to make sure that you're going after a legitimate target. I wouldn't be at all surprised that in some inland places that they would set up targets. They would be launching weapons from kindergartens or from mosques or something, trying to induce some sort of an international disaster in terms of, you know, putting ordnance in an innocent, you know, a kindergarten or something like that. So we don't target innocent people, unlike the Iranians. And then finish means you're now putting lethal ordnance on target to be able to accomplish that. So over time, we have been very, very effective with this campaign. We need to stay with it. And now, as you hear with the introduction of the Warthog, the A-10, and the AH-64, those are very, very good weapon systems designed to finish and to create the conditions now for instant passage through the Strait of Hormuz with, you know, warships and commercial ships.
We have not talked about the Apache, the Warthog, until yesterday and again today. And you just heard, you know, the details on that. You know it as well as anyone. But there could be hundreds of targets in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, we could be at it for a while, sir.
Yeah, this will take time. This is not a simple problem, but it is a solvable military problem. They are not producing more weapons. And in fact, we are destroying the places where the weapons are stored, the mines, the missiles. And then there's an attrition of the ones that they expend. They're not replacing that. So we have to be very patient and very deliberate. One thing that I would note is I have not seen or heard any reports of mines in the water. That's a separate problem. But to date, all I've heard is that there have been the slow drones and the cruise missiles and that sort of thing that have been attacking ships. So they have not been able to put mines in the water, which I think is a really good, you know, it's a positive step.
One last question here for you, Admiral. As you look at all this and you try to decipher what's important and what's not, what's been accomplished and what is yet to be, what's your biggest concern?
How much time do we have? How patient can we be? If we have the time, and time is the enemy, but it's also something that we have to be patient enough to accomplish this. So I think it's a matter of how quickly the economic pressure on one side of the strait being more or less interdicted. The strait is not clogged. It's just a matter of the people who go through there don't want to accept the risk.
Yeah, confidence.
There have been ships that have gone through the Strait of Hormuz, but there's time of the pressure on the economy on one side and the time that it takes to accomplish this military mission.
Well said. Mark Fox, retired Vice Admiral, thank you for coming on, sir. It's good to see you.
Glad to be here.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
Welcome back. As President Trump pushes to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the Marine Corps may be the key. Let's take a quick look at the USS Tripoli